2, 3, hey!
What's up, Squadron? Aviation has given me a ton of amazing experiences.
Good job there. Nice rock, high wing.
But more importantly, it's introduced me to a whole new family of friends.
Like, dude, you're killing it. You're having a great day.
So just never give up.
Airport, and then, oh, by the way, I got carb ice while I was flying through, so the engine started running rough. I had to
Join us tonight as we're cleared direct for some hangar flying. I am Bryon Bowman, and this is SuperAero Live.
That's a lot. I mean, a lot of cookies.
What's up, Av Geeks? It's Wednesday, which can only mean one thing. It's time for another episode of SuperAero Live. How are you on the internet? How are you doing tonight? Have you been doing some flying, getting that last bit of summer flying in before winter comes and destroys everything that is good? That got dark quick. I gotta say hi to some of my friends in the chat. Brad Bloom's first in the chat. Congrats, Brad. James Hyatt's talking about the plane we're going to talk about tonight with our guests. Great to see you. Zach Sherman's here. Scarface. Man, I love that name. I say it every week. Gary Smith is here. 782 Papa is here. How you doing? Jason Follas. Marty's here. My good old pal Marty is here. Todd Johnson. Ken Dodson. Wow, say those two names 4 times fast. Canyon K. Hanger Tails is here. Also talking about his Cessna 150. Bobby Kerr, national STOL competitor here. Cluckey's here. Clayton Starwalt. Man, we got all the regulars. Marty says, just realize how much trouble SuperAero is going to have in instrument training with the clearance void, if not off by. I want to be clear. We're only like 5 minutes late tonight. I'm usually late, but it was only 5 minutes tonight. I see Bryon is here. Colorado Flyer. Bryon, Colorado Flyer. Aaron Kaufman is here. Bearded Aviator. Did you miss it? No, we're just getting started. Just getting started. Everyone's way to show the colors. Yeah, on Wisconsin. Let's do it. And Anitra's here. My good friend Anitra. I haven't seen her. I haven't even talked to her since Oshkosh. Speaking of Oshkosh. A couple weeks ago, we had an episode with the fire pilot. Met him at Oshkosh. Guess who else I met at Oshkosh? Look, it's Lanie and Drew from Fly Me to the Fun.
Oh, yeah.
What's up,
Hey.
guys?
What's up, man?
Everyone, I was telling people about the episode today, and I'm going to get the dumb question out of the way. Is that a Frank Sinatra reference? Your name?
Actually...
Kind of.
Well, it was Lanie's name. I actually wasn't. I mean, I'm of course aware of Fly Me to the Moon, which comes up as a recommended search when you're starting to type us into Google.
Right.
But I don't know. Was that intentional?
It was kind of like the play on words that it was the song, but I'm not like a big Frank Sinatra fan. Like, oh my gosh, I have to name it after that. It was like alliteration, and I was like, cool.
Yeah.
All right, good. I didn't know if I needed to start like singing or something. Okay, good. Glad we got that out of the way. So sorry. So I'm gonna tell everyone we met at all good friendships begin at the SOS at the beer tent at Osh 22, and you guys were so patient. I just regaled you with stories, like ones we can't share on the show. We talked about parenting. We talked about all this crazy stuff. And I was like, wow, they seem like real good kids. I've had the real good kids. And then, like, the next day, I'm walking through the show, and I see this, like, billboard with your names on it next to this beautiful, highly polished 150, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And then I looked you up on TikTok, and I'm like, oh, they're, like, mega TikTok stars. And I was, like, yapping away about like my relationship with my brother and like what it's like to raise 2 young daughters. So I felt a little embarrassed by that because you make such great
that was
content.
So funny.
I don't know.
Well,
I feel a little weird about it.
Appreciate it. No, man, it was awesome. Yeah, awesome meeting you, and I think probably ran into you several times at the beer tent. So
yeah, the beer tent kind of brings out the best in everyone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
best and worst.
You have 2 kids. Tell me more. So I was pulling it out of you.
You look dead inside. I want to learn why. No,
We
it's
have a
good.
two-seater plane. We have no kids. We're just like, you can have bigger planes. You can have kids.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everyone's in the chat saying like, oh, by the way, I will not sing Anitra. Maybe just for you later. I'm going to show people just a quick shot of your plane, because I'm not kidding. It is well, that's the inside. You can't tell. Let me find a good picture here. That's just still the inside. Just you guys looking cute. Okay, wait, where is it? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hold up here. There you go.
Yeah, building up to it. And I don't even know if that picture does it justice. It is literally the cleanest 150, and we're going to talk about it in a second. It is like the cleanest 150 I've ever seen. I don't know, it's uncomfortably nice.
We don't really take credit for it. We got very lucky.
Yeah,
so,
we
okay.
polish it maybe once or twice a year tops, which is essentially the extent that we've contributed to how shiny it is. Other than that, it was restored and kind of brought back to life by 2 owners ago.
Okay, all right. So let's go back further than that, though. I want to learn about how you both got your start in aviation. How long ago did you start flying?
I got my license just over 9 years ago. I got my private about 9 years ago in a 152. And I was actually working in aircraft sales at the time. If I go back even before that, I got interested in aviation. I remember Flight Simulator 1998, which starts you at Meigs Field in Chicago. I don't know how. I think my dad got it for me. I'm a first generation, pilot, first generation aviation lover, really, and our whole family. There's really no one that has been into it before. So I think I must have asked for that, and I got it for Christmas or something, and just got obsessed immediately. And that never went away, as I'm sure everyone can relate. Once you're hooked, even if it's in a simulator, you just can't forget about it. So that was in 1998. I got my license in 2013, and then I got my instrument rating in 2015. And I guess in 2013, I also met Lanie. I had just gotten my private, a few months.
In May, and I met him in August.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you want to go for a flight? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And after we went on this flight, he was like, yeah, I got my license in May. And I was like, what? He was like, that's my second. Okay.
I was like, yeah, I've got 60 hours. And you were like, is that a lot?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. How does that compare? Yeah, everyone always wonders about that. So and we were talking about this at the beer tent. You have always known each other as with aviation in your life. Mm-hmm. And I think that is this is going to sound bad. That's a very important aspect to aviation, working 100%. In a relationship, because it can be quite all-encompassing sometimes, and there's the financial aspect and the time aspect, all those things. And so if it's normal, you met him when he was beginning to be a pilot, it's kind of normal, and you're just like, oh, this is part of our life. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
It's a big deal for the dynamic. I believe that, because
I agree.
If you know someone before and all of their flaws, and you've seen them make stupid mistakes, or leave coffee on the roof of the car and go driving or something. If you've ever seen someone just be themselves for long enough, and then they're like, I think I'm going to learn how to fly a machine and bring you with me. It's a very different thing than meeting someone and they're already like, yeah, I'm a pilot. I know what I'm doing. You may see me mess up occasionally, but I'm at least good enough to know how to be legally able to do.
I think the trust thing, if he had been himself and then became a pilot, I'd be like, but a pilot. So it's he was that before. didn't have to worry about it.
My wife was literally like, oh, good. Yeah. Not super into it, but I'll support you. Does our life insurance
Does
still
she fly
work?
with you? Oh.
She does fly. We haven't flown together in a long time. Since we've had kids, she stopped flying with me, because we gotta have one of us around. One of us has got to be around. she gets motion sick, so we were like working her up to comfort, you know. And then I told this story before on the channel for the folks at home, but you guys haven't heard it, so I don't care about the viewers. I was like, this is a classic story, right? You're like, oh, like we're gonna take a romantic date flight in Wisconsin. It was up to the upper, like the North Woods, to see the colors changing, the the fall colors. It's like, let's go. We'll go up to Manitowoc, which is not too far from Oshkosh. It's kind of like over the. It's I guess for that part, and like it was super gusty and bumpy, and I was like, no, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be romantic. And she's just like, blah, 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 like getting bounced around, turning green, and I was like, no, we're gonna make it because the colors are gonna be so beautiful. And then we had to land. So she could almost. I told this story recently, and she corrected me. She did not hurl. Well, we pulled over. We landed, so she could like take a minute and feel better. And then we went home, and I had to I was pulling out of the stops. So we gave up flying the 30 minutes home or whatever. And I'm like, all right, where are the clouds? I'm going to get above the clouds so that we can have smooth air. Oh, how does the Sirius XM whatever radio on the GPS work? Quick, pump in some tunes, the whole thing to try to keep her feeling comfortable. And so that was the last time we flew together. And then we started having babies, and she was like, I don't need to do this. But anyway, enough about that.
It's not for everyone, and especially in a tiny little plane. I mean, we're both lucky, but Lanie has an iron stomach. I mean, it's always different when you're the one flying. I think you're just more okay with being thrown around for whatever. It's like driving through the mountains. It's better to be the one driving for whatever reason for your stomach. But Lanie has an iron stomach because we've been in some. I mean, it's a 1,000-pound plane, 1,600 at gross. And we're just all over the place in the summertime in Georgia. We're low because we almost always are in the 150. It's 95 degrees out. We're just getting bounced all around. And she's just like, yeah, I'm good to go.
I usually laugh every time we go woo. I'm like, this is fun.
I don't get it.
You're like, we're in danger.
I like turbulence.
Yeah.
I always liked turbulence when we were in commercial planes too, though. I'm like, oh, something's happening. I don't know. It's fun.
The only time I've ever seen you kind of freak out with turbulence, and we both did, is because it was wake turbulence. And we were on our way into Block Island. And we were kind of converging with the Pilatus, and it was untowered, uncontrolled. So I was just like, yeah, Pilatus, we'll do a right 360. You can go in ahead of us, because he was obviously gaining on us rapidly. And it just so happened where when they were coming across on final, we were just finishing our 360, and we must have gone right into that sinking wake. Because I thought we hit something. It freaked me out. And we had good separation. We were talking about altitudes, and we were looking on TCAS and all of that, but it was such sudden and violent turbulence. We were both just like,
I was looking out the window to see if we dropped a wheel or something.
I know, making sure the wings were still there. But yeah, other than that, we've been cool. Turbulence wise, and you've been good. Sickness wise, which is good. So
yeah.
There's a first time for everything. No, that's really awesome. That's huge. That's huge. A couple people in the chat saying hello. I just wanted to make sure they get their recognition. One Aviate.
I keep seeing all the go dogs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One Aviate says Georgia pilots in the house. Bearded Aviator, go dogs. Nathan Ballard says he's a fellow Lima Zulu uniform pilot. So that's great.
Gwinnett County in the house.
Bobby says go dogs. No, Hooks is looking for fire pilot. No, that was 2 weeks ago. He's not here. All right. So, okay. So
we can find him. Sorry to disappoint.
Yeah. Oh, look, we've actually...
Yeah, there you go.
We've got the sticker right here, coincidentally.
He's a nice guy. Yeah. Someone just say say his name 3 times in the chat. It'll summon him here. I'm sure it'll work. Okay, so this is great. So you guys met while you had just after you had gotten your license. How quickly your certificate? Sorry, people who are sticklers. How soon did it become a big part of the relationship? Because I think what's interesting is you guys. I don't know if I should have said it. I said to someone today. I was like, oh, it's aviation's next power couple. It's is you two. But how soon did that become like a big adventure tool for you? Is it like right away, or did you work up to that?
It definitely was not right away. I mean, I rented for 7 years. And so I would fly like 20 hours one year. And then I even took I think in there, I took at least 1 year off.
Yeah.
Just things got in the way and I stopped renting, and then I had to go back with an instructor and get current and all of that. So, I mean, it totally was not like a big part of our lives until we bought the 150 2 years ago.
I mean, it was still a big part of our life, but it was Drew worked for an aviation sales company. And so it was like repositioning planes, and I would take like dead legs and that kind of stuff. Yep. So it wasn't really big adventure stuff. It was going from airport in Georgia to airport in Georgia.
Yeah, or like quick rental flights. And then I briefly had I was renting an SR-20 for like a couple weeks, and then that's a very unsustainable rental. It's ridiculously expensive. So that didn't last very long.
That's like very different from
yeah. So what he used Sirius, and so he ended up getting his instrument so that he could help sell them. And we got very spoiled. I was like, where's the radio and the AC? Like, why does this plane have to open the window to do this?
Yeah, our first trips together were in planes for the company that I was working for. So they're, current model year SR-22T GTSs. So you're going 180 knots on 3-axis autopilot with air conditioning and satellite radio and, leather seats and this wide cabin where you're nowhere near each other. And we do like a few kind of just lucky flights like that over, I guess a couple years. And then fast forward to me buying the 150, and we're wedged in there like this on all the flights. And it's pretty much the polar opposite of an SR-22T.
But we love it. And we have way more fun in it because we can control where we go, when we go, how long we stay.
Yep.
And it just takes a long time to get places.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about getting places, but I want to notice the fire pilot has arrived. People,
Yeah.
Zach
Who
Sherman
did
said,
it? Who did
Zach
it?
Sherman said fire pilot, fire pilot, fire pilot, and like
He sent up the signal.
5 comments later, it's the fire pilot in the chat. So we did it. We did it together. Well,
That's excellent.
great to have you in the chat, Mr. Fire Pilot. Okay, so real quick, I want to set the stage a little bit more because you have used the 150 like an SR-20, which I think is really cool. But a couple quick questions in the chat. Lanie, you do not have your PPL yet. Are there plans for that?
So Drew just got his commercial, and next he's going to work on the instructor. So once he becomes a CFI, I'll take a free pilot's license. Yeah.
I gotta say, I don't know if I could be. Whoa!
Sorry.
Things are getting exciting. I don't know if I could be my wife's instructor.
Like, yeah, we've talked about that, and we've gotten that feedback from a lot of people. Actually, they're like, "Good luck," or like, "That's a bad idea."
It.
I don't know, but we at least want to try it. I mean, I think our dynamic, I think it would work for that. We've talked about maybe having her do like her first 10 hours in a different plane, so there's not quite as much pressure doing like your very first landings in
Sure.
318. But aside from that, I mean, I don't know. We think that it'll be okay, but I guess time will tell. But we definitely want to try it.
I say go for it. I think the only advice is like, if it doesn't work, be real honest with yourself right away. You don't want to sour it, right? But
it is kind of fun though because I've.
Oh, go ahead. No. You go.
So to say it's kind of fun though because I have a lot of experience of sitting next to him and listening to him, and he's really good at explaining everything and why he's doing it. And we always play the game like, what happens if I die? What would you do? That kind of like, where we going? If the plane goes down, what's So I've got a lot of.
She knows. I mean, way more than I think she even that you know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've done a lot of Class C airports and a lot of like, she's helped me with arrivals and defly-ins where she's reading headings and speeds. And yeah, you have at least 200 hours in planes with me, probably more. I mean, it's exposure that you might not even actively know gives you such an advantage. But when you start, I mean, she could very well be a 40-hour private pilot. Who knows? But yeah, I would love to teach her personally just because I've already kind of been showing her about it, and that's been super fun. We also talked about at one point about Lanie getting her ground instructor because she's a licensed teacher in Georgia, which exempts you from the FOI. So if she were to go be a ground instructor, she could do that like relatively quickly. I mean, she already knows, and she's a science teacher for many years. So she already knows a lot about weather and pressure. And so there's a lot of overlap there. We've talked about maybe doing that too.
So this is interesting because the thing that you said, Drew, you said, well, she might be able to, Lanie, you might be able to be a 40-hour private pilot because you've got all that right seat time. The other thing, I think, a lot of your TikTok content in particular is like explaining fundamental things about aviation to people, not flight instruction. Like, I don't think you've crossed into that part of the...
Try not to.
That's a whole different controversy, right? Where people like teaching without ground instructor, whatever, right? But like, you're just like explaining to people outside of our passion. Here's what's cool about this. Here's how we do it. And what I love about it is, and I can tell because I'm married to a teacher too. Like, I can tell that your education background is helping make that content. Like, the content is so like very clear about like, here's the thing that we're trying to teach or just educate you on. Teach feels too formal of a way to say it, but like, here's how this works, or here's what this is like, or here's how we do this. And that makes it accessible to like the masses, which I think is also why your stuff's so successful. But I think that, long story short, I think that's also going to mean that you're going to be a pilot more quickly, right? Because you already know how to like grab that stuff. Is that maybe? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, thanks. No pressure or anything. But
No, I mean, I fully agree. And I will say too, we've kind of like carved out a little niche with the radio communication stuff. People ask us about that all the time. There are a lot of our biggest videos are of Lanie doing, radio calls to tower and with approach and things like that. And even the exposure, like, I think one of the biggest reasons that I'm kind of better at comms, I think, is because I learned at a towered airport, for one, which is big. And then two, I had one of those instructors who like really, really over and over again emphasized that controllers are people, talk in plain English. Like, if you don't know, just say, hey, I don't know, and just treat it that way. And you've seen me do that a lot, which I think just, it's a perspective shift. Like, you talk to a lot of pilots who feel like, controllers are authority figures. Like, if you do something wrong, they're there to catch you and get you in trouble. And so therefore you would never want to feel stupid by asking something. And I feel the exact opposite. I think they're there to keep us safe and alive, and they're a resource, and they have so much on their screen that can help you. And if you don't know, you can double check with them. And that is something I've gotten super passionate about, because I think it's honestly like key to being a safe pilot. I think you have to see them as a resource, not as something like to be afraid of. So I'm just glad that you've seen a lot of that, internalized it the way I did with my instructor, and for a lot longer than I did. So when you begin, hopefully you see them too as like friends and a resource, not a controlling,
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm still afraid of them, but
yeah. I feel like people are really afraid of is it the controllers, or is it like the other pilots on frequency that you don't want to sound stupid in front of, or both?
Both.
It's both. Yeah.
I will tell you, next year when you fly to Osh, just go land at Waukesha Airport. There's like a grumpy guy. It's like the grumpiest controller in the world there, and he will like dress you down for like sneezing in the plane.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's insane. This is the thing though. I think that's a huge thing. Personally, I did all my training at a non-towered field, and literally like 3 days before my check ride, we're doing that thing where you're like lining up, like, okay, do I have this many hours of this? Do I have this many hours of that? Did I do this? Did I do that? And my instructor's like, oh, whoops. We got to get you your 3 landings at a towered field or whatever? And I was like, okay, cool. And he just like threw me the keys, and he's like, we'll see you in an hour. And I was like, I don't know how to talk to him. We never did that really. I mean, we did it a little bit. Like, we would go up to Oshkosh, but they're like so nice there, and you kind of like do whatever, and they're just going to take care of you. So it was like the worst and scariest flight of my life, because
that's not a great way to be introduced to it. Yeah.
Because that I got in my head, right, about the talking so much that I wasn't thinking about the flying. And so there's like a little bit of like, oh, I'm too slow. That building looks awfully close. Like all that, like, which is probably also hyper, you're hyper aware of it because you're stressed. Probably not actually a big deal. probably go file a what's the statute of limitations on NASA reports? Anyway.
You're probably good. Yeah, I'd go do it. Yeah.
Probably fine. Yeah. Waukesha Pilot says, I never had a grumpy controller at Waukesha. Maybe you're the grumpy controller at Waukesha.
That's what I was going to say.
There's one dude. Everyone else, anyone from Timmerman in the chat, chime in, back me up. Whoever that guy is. Canyon K says, I'm not helping ease your anxiety. No. Anyway.
I just need some practice.
I agree as a slightly older person that your time, seriously, 200 hours flying around together, you basically already are a pilot. Like, I bet you're just going to be like,
if this is what it feels like to be a pilot, then, like, I'm afraid to get in planes.
Yeah.
What?
He said, if this is all you have to feel like, I need more training.
Also, Just Plain Silly's in the chat. I think he introduced us, if I'm not mistaken.
So. Yeah.
And someone else manifested him. They were like, oh, where's he? And then he was like, here I am.
This is a fun game. Who else can we get here?
Yeah, who else can we get? Go manifest someone else, chat.
Yeah. We had a pretty big group of people there at the SOS tent, so we'll just keep bringing them in. Summon everyone.
Keep bringing them in. Okay, so we were talking about you do crazy things in this 150, and again, I want to show people the plane. There we go. Like, I want everyone to look at where it's sitting. Like, it's by a beach. Of course, it's in the sky.
It flies.
It flies. Here are all the things it can do, like landing on a thing. Talk to us a little bit about, there was a chat here, chat message from Brad asking about a Bahamas trip. Like, when did you get into, like, the long cross-country stuff with the 150?
I mean, pretty much immediately. I don't know. I mean, we didn't go to the Bahamas immediately. We did work our way up to that.
We bought the plane in Oklahoma, and my mom lives in Kansas. So I guess that was our first long trip, was like right after we got it.
Yeah.
We flew up to Kansas to see her and then flew home.
That's like 800 miles, I think. 700 something miles from Kansas to back home. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe this again goes back to like my introduction to aviation being in the Cirrus world, and everything was like IFR, autopilot, just of course you can go. Like, why would you not be able to? And then you're in a slower plane without autopilot, but I did intentionally get one IFR capable. And so for a lot of them, it was just get in, go IFR. Like, of course, like, why couldn't you go there? I don't know. I've just always kind of figured that if you're allowed to, that's for a reason. So it should be fine. And we've only had a couple times where they're like obviously frustrated that we're super slow. And we've learned that with bigger airports, it's best to usually do that VFR, because if you're IFR, you really will clog up their arrivals. And usually we get holds, or we're sent out way in the middle of nowhere so that they can get all the jets in and all that stuff. But I mean, we're in Atlanta. We've done South Florida quite a few times. But a lot of our stuff's like runs to the Gulf, which are not, that far. That's like 3 hours for us, or 2.5. We went up to Chicago. We've done the Northeast. We did New York, Nantucket, Cape Cod area. And then, the Bahamas definitely being the big trip. I think that was just like, these long trips are super fun. Like, why not? Like, why couldn't we go even farther? And, the Bahamas are right there. The Caribbean's right there. Like, let's look into the legality of it and our insurance policy and our GPS databases, and like check all those boxes and just look at the safety and rafts and all the requirements. And all right, like, why not? And so we did that flight IFR, because again, I just didn't want to mess anything up, comms wise or anything, but absolutely awesome. And I think it's a lot scarier than it needs to be. And same with the Hudson Corridor. We did that in New York. Super, like, actually that was like really chill. It was like very easy. You just report where you are and you're like flying below the tops of huge buildings right in New York. But it's just preparation and realizing that there's no reason you can't, just because it's a small, slow plane. You're still in the system. You're still talking to the same people that Delta's talking to. I don't know. This just never seemed like something that we're not allowed to do. We've got some big plans for our next trip coming up in January, which we can talk about whenever we would like, but that's going to be by far our biggest trip yet. That's coming up.
Let's keep it as a tease for 2 seconds. So that's how we got to keep people engaged. So I was going to ask you, and maybe this is a lead up to it. Do both of you have tips for those like longer trips? Like the Bahamas, weirdly enough, feels like a thing I'm like not too, like when you said that, I'm like, oh, I would like to do that. But then you talked about like Hudson River Corridor, and I was like, ugh, like I got like a little tense. I was like, oh, I don't know, that feels, a lot of it goes back to those radio things we were talking about. Sorry, Gary, I just noticed Gary said, oh, those 3 bags that you put in your plane put you over gross. Funny, that's a funny joke. Close. Close. But what tips do you have for folks? I mean, you mentioned a couple of things just now, like, you know, safety, double checking the legality, being, I don't know if bravery is the right term, but like the idea of like the confidence of saying like, hey, like the system is for us too, we're going to use it. I think that's a huge thing, because that's actually when we talked about like, why did my instructor, who I love, right? But like, why did he not really worry about teaching me the radio? Is because he was like, you don't need this system, right? Like I was like, hey, can you teach me how to, the joke, right? When I was like, hey, can you teach me how to do flight following? And he's like, why? Like, you don't got to talk to them. You know what I mean? Like he's like, you don't need to. So don't mess with the man, right? Or the system or whatever. Like just go do it. But the system is there, and it's ours to use. Free. Yeah.
And it's free, exactly.
Yeah, it's ours to use. So like, let's use it, right? Like so those are, I think, were good points. But do you have other piece of advice for folks who are thinking about doing big trips?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it kind of should go without saying, but it's planning. I mean, look at the materials that you have available to you on the day of or shortly before, like ideally a good bit before, like chair fly it, plan it all out and play it out how you think it's going to go down. Like in the case of the Hudson exclusion, there's a whole procedure. It's almost like you're doing the arrival at Oshkosh. I mean, it's way less involved than that, but it's basically drop down to altitude. At that point, we did flight following over there. And then they cut you off, and at that point you're just on a CTAF basically. You're just making advisory position announcements. But that's all written up, and they've got even little pictures of the different like bridges and the aircraft carrier, the different points you're supposed to call out. It even gives you a sample. It says, when you're here, say white Cessna northbound, 1,100 feet, Intrepid, which is the name of the point.
Yeah, why'd you call it white, and why did you say 11?
That's the example. I think it was 1,100.
It's 1,200.
12 and 11. Either way, so I haven't briefed it.
Wait, I just want to point out, Lane, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this pilot thing, and now you're correcting altitudes.
She's literally, dude. We've gone into towered airports before, and they give me some instruction, and I'm like, wait, and she's like, yeah, that makes sense. Crossover midfield, join her left down, and I'm like, all right, man, like, you want to take over? Like that's what I'm saying.
You saw me crash on the simulator, so
she did crash the sim at Oshkosh. That is true.
Everyone crashes the sim. The sim is 100 times harder than the real plane. Like,
it is.
Scouts on.
You have no feel, yeah.
You don't have any butt feel.
Yeah, I feel better.
You need the butt feel.
Yeah. Butt feel is significant.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, it's look at all the resources you have available, plan it out, make a game plan. I also like to make my own like handwritten note of just like ready facts. Even if you have something typed up like the Oshkosh arrival, I still put on there like 1,800 feet, 90 knots, like, arrival ATIS frequency, approach frequency. Like just put the quick things that you're going to be looking for big, and take the time to write them yourself so that you kind of retain that in doing it. With the Bahamas one, it was like, you make a checklist, you need your EAPIS manifest, you have to, have your registration and all these different items, like literally make it a checklist. That's what we're all used to anyway. Make sure that you have everything. And then on the day of, just go through the list, just execute it.
And we had everything printed and in a folder, things that we knew we were going to have to need. There's certain things that you have to have multiple copies of. So we had everything there. So whenever you are either clearing customs or even getting gas at other airports where they check your stuff, just had it all there all the time.
Yeah. And then same on the way back. I remember part of the arrival back into the U.S. is that you have to call ahead and get a discrete code of the day, basically proving that you made that phone call, and then give them advance notice of when roughly time-wise you expect to penetrate the ADIS on the way back in, the defense zone. And I remember on the way out, we were in San Andreas. I was like, hey, can I use your phone? And they were just like, nope.
No.
And I was like, oh, I thought that was like, what? All right. Like,
He's
what
like,
am
I guess I'll
supposed to
pay for
do?
the international, like,
Yeah, so
turn on his phone.
I just turned my phone on and did like a Wi-Fi call or something. But yeah, as long as you have the steps
I would totally panic. I'd be like, oh, I guess I'm gonna learn what fighters they have.
It's a bit unusual, man. I mean, we had like a couple. I mean, it's cash only. A lot of the places in the Bahamas, so you pay. First of all, the airport we stopped at, we only knew had gas because a friend told us that, and we landed with enough gas to get somewhere else if we had to, but it would not have been very fun or smart. But it's on the chart as not having gas, and it's also cash only. So it's just like things like that you just have to really plan for. In hindsight, we should have called ahead, and that's what we'll do next time we do that, just to confirm that they have fuel. And then like there was a stray dog on one of the runways. I remember that.
It was
definitely different flying.
We called it like a double black diamond landing. It was very windy. He was like, we're good. It's fine. And we're like blowing everywhere. And I was like, is that a dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked out.
So, okay. So you hinted it. We won't tease it anymore. You've got another big trip coming. Mm-hmm. Where are you headed?
So we are going to go back to where we went the first time to the Bahamas. That'll be our first leg, and we'll eventually make our way, or we are going to stop there briefly for fuel.
Just for fuel, yeah.
We're going all the way to St. Bart's. So that's going to be about 24 flight hours in each direction.
If you're in any other plane, it's way less than that, but
yeah,
we're going to take 24.
Yeah, so about 50 hours round trip, 7 countries, a lot of flying, but a lot of it's going to be like over islands. We will have a raft. We will have a satellite texting device, thanks to Garmin. We'll have an inReach, talk about pre-trip planning action. There's obviously a lot. Each airport has its own kind of mini checklist of forms and requirements. The whole thing's cash only. So we're actually meeting my parents at the end at St. Bart's. That'll be our halfway point. They'll replenish us with cash that I'll send them with so that we don't have to bring like a ridiculous amount of cash, because all the fuel stops are going to be cash only. And it's like $10 a gallon minimum for avgas down there. We'll go all the way. Basically the route is going to be South Florida, Turks and Caicos, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, St. Martin, St. Bart's. But in St. Martin, I'll drop Lanie off. I'm picking up an instructor. I've got to do my hour flight training, half-hour ground. I need 10 landings, so it'll probably be more than an hour on that steep, crazy, kind of famous approach into St. Bart's. Yeah.
He's got it as his background.
He's the background on my phone.
Is that manifestation or what?
Yeah, so we'll come over that hill.
Oh,
come over that hill, and
that's just me now.
It's gone now. Okay, well, you saw it. But yeah, that's where we're going. And
dude,
the instructor he's a Pilatus pilot for trade winds, which they fly in there routinely, so he knows what he's doing. I've already talked to him. He knows we're flying all the way down in the 150. We've got that phone call on video, and he laughed in my face. But
he said, "Are you going to start now?"
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing it. We're super excited. So we leave on January 11th and expect it to take, or we're planning on it taking about 2.5-ish weeks, or just over 2 weeks round trip. So we'll have a couple days with no flying, a couple really big flying days. I mean, for us, it's 5 hours just to get to South Florida from Atlanta in the 150. So 10 of those round trip hours are just getting to, the coast in Florida.
Getting like feet wet. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But we're super excited. It's going to be really fun.
So wait, I want to make sure I understood something. So you are getting there, and then Lanie's hopping out, and then you're having to do instruction. Is that just take me back to the, I don't know if I go ahead.
Yeah. So we'll stop. St. Martin and St. Bart's are 17 miles apart, I believe. We cannot go into St. Bart's without me having a French authority signature. A sign
Got
off.
it. That's the part I missed. Okay.
Yeah, together we'll stop short, 17 miles short. I think it's 17 in St. Martin. I'll drop her off, pick up the instructor. What we're talking about is having her ferry over, because I'm doing all those landings. She'd have that opportune spot with a camera to have me just diving in right over that roundabout. It's kind of that famous area where all those pictures are taken and videos of, there's been a air at 172, I think, that hit a car going in, and like it's kind of a crazy
And
arrival.
Lane will just stand right there.
Yeah, you'll be right where the car got hit. And then, yeah, she'll come back. We'll meet back in St. Martin, spend the night there. And then that next morning we'll go together and go dive in there. And then we'll be at St. Bart's for 4 nights and then start the trek home.
Guys, that sounds so amazing.
We are super excited. It's intense. You're going to be out there, but.
Oh man, I want to like fast forward my life to January so I can like follow along. Are we gonna be able to follow along as you do this?
Yeah, we're gonna be posting stuff every day. We're gonna have tons of Instagram stories, kind of as the quickest, and then we'll be doing some sort of TikTok or reel every day. The plan is to try to get as much longer form content for YouTube as possible. So we will have the GoPros and all that stuff just so we can make like a larger, kind of more cohesive story of the whole thing. I will say we've kind of found our sweet spot in that medium form, like that 2 to 3 minutes on TikTok kind of thing.
YouTube's hard, guys.
YouTube's hard. Yeah, YouTube is really tough.
No,
Yeah.
That's a whole separate
see,
conversation.
Yeah. But I mean, for us, especially with like just how quickly you can grow and how well we've learned it at this point, like TikTok is kind of where it's at. I mean, monetization's a little bit of a different deal, but either way, we'll capture as much of the journey as we possibly can and share that, and provide, we're writing up a stop by stop checklist for each airport. We'll be in contact with a liaison of some sorts, basically just someone at the FBO that we'll be going to that knows like we're arriving, what kind of plane we're in. Most of the FBOs are like, it's fueled by tourism, a lot of these stops. So they're like easiest customs in all the, country, like come to this FBO.
Oh, sure.
So if you call, you can just be like, hey, we're coming on this day. Like we'll be in this type of plane. They'll send you the forms that you need. Like, here's exactly what we'll need when you get here. And you can do a lot of that work ahead of time. You can even actually send some of the forms ahead. I think some of them you have to have with you, but the more of that stuff we can get out of the way and then document and then give away to other people who want to do that is the plan. Because a lot of the stuff that we talk about is, like we've talked about today, is it's demystifying. It's like doing things that are totally legal and you're able to do, but people shy away from them. Like the Hudson exclusion. I was nervous about that too. And then we did it and I was like, oh, like this is awesome and easy. And then we did it again on the way back south because it was so much fun. And then same thing with Bahamas. We did that and we were like, oh, like that was just a 30-minute stop to talk to some people, and they came out and looked at the plane, and then we were gone. It was easy. And then coming back in was really easy. We stopped at customs at Fort Lauderdale Executive. We were there for probably like 15 minutes. Just brought our bags inside. They wanded the plane down with some sort of sensor device. And that was it. Then we were back in, and we just went VFR back toward home. So
a lot of people in the chat very excited for you as well. Let me see here. Brian, the Colorado Flyer, is saying, I tried to get instruction there. It's not easy. So you've already done some work to get that prepped. Yeah. And then he says, bring back some guava berry rum from St. Martin for him. So I guess that'll take. You have to leave a bag of clothes behind to bring him his rum.
Yeah, we've talked about trying to like mail care packages ahead that are waiting for us at different stops. I know that presents some totally different challenges, and
sure,
you're still importing items at that point and all of that. So one thing that I did read, actually a couple things, we're kind of like, looking at distance, of course, and how many hours and fuel and weight and balance and picking our stops all the way down there. If you go look at comments on ForeFlight, some of them are like unanimously great. And you're like, okay, cool. I feel good about this stop. Some of them are like unanimously horrible. And we almost made the mistake of settling on that one. And then you read it and it's like, by no means should you ever come here. Like they'll basically, like, one was like, they'll threaten your plane and say, if you don't give them a tip, they can't guarantee its safety. And like kind of just these horror stories that kind of prey on people who are in unfamiliar territory. So not to imply that that's widespread. I'm sure that it's not, but as you start looking at different airports and look at the comments, kind of wakes you up. I mean, you're out there and it'll just be us, and we're in this little tiny plane and there are not that many options. So the more you can make contact ahead of time, it's already started to make me feel more comfortable. Like, the the point of contact. You know who the person you're talking to, who you'll be looking for when you get there, and it just kind of starts to make it feel more approachable at that point.
Underrated feature of ForeFlight. Those comments.
There aren't a ton of them. Like a lot of them that I see are like, this one's 10 months old or whatever, but it's better than nothing, and too, the AOPA Caribbean guide is awesome. That's a great resource. We've looked at that a lot too. Actually, coincidentally, because we found this instructor on Instagram before looking at the Caribbean guide. He's the first name listed when you look at St. Bart's. It's like, this requires special instruction. Call Maxime. That's the dude. So that was just kind of coincidental. But I think they've got 3 instructors listed in the Caribbean guide. And they all have phone numbers, and you can just get in touch, schedule your checkout.
Dude, so excited. That's like a bucket list. Here I am going like my wife asked me, she's like, oh, like what, you gotta get flying again, and like what would be like a bucket list trip for you? And I was like, I don't know, like right now it's like Washington Island, which is like an hour away.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You got Mackinac up by you too. That was like
Washington
Mackinac.
Island. Isn't that is Washington Island was a grass strip?
Yeah, yep. Grass only. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Sweet.
Somebody was trying to tell us to go there, and I was like, wait, that's awesome. But we had just polished the plane on the way to Oshkosh, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
Well, Mackinac, and then there's another one.
Beaver, I think, isn't there one?
Major Gilbert up on like the Apostle Islands up there, but like you're doing like real flying.
That was one of our favorite trips, though, when we were going up to Mackinac. That was such a cool. I mean, it's
Mackinac
far
was
from
unreal.
Atlanta for sure, but it was so cool.
Yeah, that was unreal. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of take it as like not a challenge, because you always have to keep it like safe and not push the boundary too much. But if you're already in St. Barth, like we're really not that far from South America at that point. Like, what does that mean? And then going the other way, I was like, what about Europe? I mean, like, could you realistically go up and over in a 150? And you probably could, but there's definitely a point where it's like you're either going to make it or die. And so that to me is like not good, because if you have to do like a water landing, if you have to ditch in the Caribbean, that's less violent. It's mostly like shallower water. We're going to be over islands like a lot of the trip. Like most of it will be along the Exumas and working our way down islands. There are only like a few legs or a few portions of a few legs for the St. Bart's trip where we'll be like way out in the middle of the ocean. To try to do the hop from like northern Canada over to Greenland, that's pretty damn treacherous. I mean, at that point, that's probably too intense. But it does look like if we brought literally nothing except like one outfit and like survival stuff, weight and balance wise and fuel wise, we actually could do it. So I don't know. Who knows?
I mean,
I said no.
Okay. She said, I said no. So two things I thought of. One was I've heard, obviously I don't know, you could validate this, like in the Caribbean, a lot of times also there's just tons of boat traffic that you could like saddle up next to if you were going to ditch, which is a reassuring thing people have told me. I don't know what your experience was similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, there was like one portion of our outbound flight to the Bahamas where we were like, this would be a bad time to have a problem. Like the water gets a little deeper and darker, and like we were at 7,000 IFR and we were like in and out of the clouds, and yeah, that would not have been like a great thing. But I don't know. I mean, for us, like here we have such a slow stall speed. Like you're strapped in, we've got the harnesses. Like I firmly believe we would survive a water landing, like kind of no question. I think you'd have to really botch it to not walk away from that. I mean, it's going to be traumatic. Plane's going to definitely flip over. You're going to have to you don't want that to happen, of course. But I don't think that it's like you're either going to make it or die. I think you're either going to make it or it's going to be a really intense, not fun thing that I believe we would both survive. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I don't feel that way about Iceland. I think that you would not survive an Atlantic water landing in a Cessna 150 necessarily. That'd be a lot more treacherous.
You're talking immersion suits and like a you're talking about people doing, flight chops, right? Just did that in a DA-62, and they're still like, ooh, like,
right.
Like, let's put on these dry suits. Like, it's like it's a sketch thing. And then the other thing, someone brought this up in the chat, and now I have to ask about it. Like, did you see the 172 that everyone was tracking on Reddit that like flew to Hawaii like a couple nights ago?
I might have seen something about that. I definitely didn't watch the entire, like I didn't actually see it. I might have scrolled past it or something, but that's just set up with ferry tanks? And that must have been
must have.
I mean,
yeah, I don't like, it was like
something crazy, right?
Someone posted like the flight, track like from like, I don't know, FlightAware or whatever. And they're like halfway over to Hawaii or in the Pacific. And then like all these people are like rooting for them. Like, I'm going to stay up all night till they land. And I did not, because it's a long time to stay awake. But but what was interesting, and I wanted to ask you about this, the most interesting to me was people started listening in for them on all the like, live ATC and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they got to Hawaii, and then you would hope after like 18 hours of flying that you just get like a straight in. But they had to get routed in with the IFR traffic. And so they literally had to do like a couple patterns. Or I don't know. Someone explained it. Like they actually had to like wait for landing traffic before they could come in. And I'm like, how brutal would that be? Like you're probably
you go do like 3 laps in a hole just when you're completely like fatigued. And
yeah, it would just be so brutal, right? Yeah, Just Plain Silly says it was 18 hours. And it was a ferry, it was a 172 ferry flight, and I think I heard it was a brand new 172 getting ferried over over to Hawaii. But
I did see a while back that the Cirrus one where the ferry tanks malfunctioned and you had to pull the chute. And he had so much advance warning that he was like completely calm, and he made all of his calls. He coordinated with the Coast Guard. He did his circles. He found a boat, and he's like, has it on GoPro. And he's just like, all right, here it goes, and just pulls the chute and just casually is like talking to the camera as he floats down into the water. It's insane. It's crazy.
You know what's going to happen though, is you guys are going to do this trip, and then you're going to have to like upgrade a little bit and do like a world rounding.
So it's funny you say
Lanie's not convinced.
I'm not convinced, but that's what he's like. We should just do it. Let's just do it.
That's kind of if everything could go my way, I would get my CFI. She'd get her, and probably my double I. She'd become an instrument pilot. We'd get a Bonanza F-33A in addition to the 150, and then fly that around the world. That's what I would like to do.
I would like to see you do that as well. Go get him. Go get him, Tiger.
Why not?
I mean, this is a fantasy I've had for a long time about flying around the world, because there are, I think if maybe it's still the case, there are fewer people that have done that than have been astronauts.
Really?
Or at least at one point, someone fact check that. Someone in the chat, go Napster it, Google it, whatever. But like, at one point, at least, there were fewer people who had flown around the world in single-engine aircraft than had been astronauts. And now I was like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
This is my chance to be, like, have my name on a list. Like a good list, not the bad lists. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. So, there you go.
Yeah, I feel like I would want to approach a flight or a trip like that less as like a record breaker, because at this point it wouldn't be, and more just like almost take your time with it and try to see a lot and just make it just the absolute adventure of a lifetime, and probably like pause a couple times, maybe like find a good hangar somewhere, an airline home, or I don't know, like not even try to force it in
and
some
you're not
really
even really doing anything.
Well, you're flying in really cool places.
I think that counts. I think because there are like there's this website called Earth Rounders. And it's got like all the people that have done it, and you can like click, and there's like little notes, because it's like way back. Yeah. It's like, oh, like so and so did it in a seaplane. Oh, like this person did it in a RV-8. Like this person did it in a, and then it's like you start judging, even though no matter what aircraft they do it in, it's like really impressive. Like it's like a really impressive feat, no matter what you're flying, single engine, anything. And it's like someone does it in a TBM, but you're reading the list, and you're like, oh, a TBM, yeah, that was kind of easy. Right, because like the next pilot is like, oh, I did it in a Pipistrel Virus right, with a Rotax, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think you should do it. I say go for it.
I would love I would love to do it, honestly. Not in the 150. That's a little too, probably potentially not possible. And if it is, it'd be pretty damn dangerous. So maybe something like a baby Bonanza, or I don't know. But I think it'd be a lot of fun.
By the way, they're also just making fun of my get on a list. Everyone's saying that Bryan Turner is already on a list. Yeah. All right. So before we're almost out of time. English.
Ow.
Before we wrap up for the night, can I play a game with you guys? You guys up for a game?
Yeah, let's do it.
I like games.
All right. So if you're new here, the game is called Short Final. And Short Final is where we put a minute on the clock. And I need to move. There we go. I have to move some things on my screen to hit the buttons correctly. We put a minute on the clock. And I just ask you a bunch of questions. There's no right answers. There's no points. All the points. You've already won or lost. Up to you. We'll just see. We'll see what we can do.
What are the rules?
Yeah,
the rules are: I ask you a question and you guys just shout out answers. Don't overthink it. I don't know why I can't speak all of a sudden. I'm getting old. I turned 40 last week, and I swear to God, you guys, I am 1 foot in the grave. Like, it's just like immediately, like I turned 40, my body's just like shutting down. Like that.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be alive still somehow. All right, here we go. Everyone, this is Short Final with my friends Fly Me to the Fun, who are going to do some epic things. You're going to put on some epic music. There we go. Make sure it's not too loud. Minute on the clock. Fly Me to the Fun. First, foremost, Short Final. Favorite airport you've ever landed at?
Staniel Key.
The Farmer's Key.
Keys. Okay. Keys are big. I got to know, north up or track up?
I do north up on the GPS and track up on my leg.
Both ways. Cuts both ways. All right. There's maybe favorite passenger you've ever had. I'm assuming is Lanie.
That is Lanie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about?
You took your mom. That was fun.
Oh, that was nice. Okay. Let's see. I ran out of questions because I'm having a stroke. Something's happening to me. I can't think. All right, here we go. No, we're going to extend the time a little bit. I got to know, you talked about a Bonanza. What other airplane, like if you could have any other civilian aircraft, what would it be?
Kodiak 100, probably.
Oh, take that to the Bahamas. And then let's go to the other side. Warbird. You like warbirds? Are you a warbird family?
I've officially become obsessed with the Tiger Cat after that. I got to fly in one at Oshkosh this year, and I've become obsessed. So
we haven't even talked about that. Wait, tell us about that real quick.
I got an unbelievable opportunity through Yurka at AOPA and also through Breitling to get up at 4:30 in the morning. And
yeah, they were like it's sunrise, but sunrise is really early in Oshkosh.
Yeah. But obviously very worth it. Got to go sit in the back of a Tiger Cat and do this unbelievable formation flight. Bradley Winsell took pictures. It was 2 Tiger Cats, a B-25, and 4 P-51s. Unbelievable. We've got a whole, we did an Instagram reel and TikTok about it. You can see all the shots that I got from my vantage point, but yeah, once in a lifetime opportunity. It was awesome. Super cool.
That's incredible. How
really
cool. Yeah. So now here's what you're going to do. You're going to buy one of those, fly that around the world.
That could be good. A little probably harder to find maintenance on the road on that guy, but we could do it anyway.
Just have Breitling pay for it.
Yeah, right?
Oh, that's a good. I did get the president of Breitling's email address.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, there you go. Yeah. This is typing. You're
Finagle
typing.
Hello.
I gotta figure it out.
Hello,
Yeah.
President of Breitling. Instead of paying Brad Pitt some
I hope
more
this
money.
email finds you well.
Yeah. I was supposed to send
To whom
him
it may
videos,
concern. I don't know why you have to have the accent. Yeah, right, old chap.
You have to, though.
Love your watches. That's incredible. By the way, Fire Pilot says I'm not having a stroke. So that's good.
That's good.
He's
Oh,
like,
good.
You are safe. Okay. How do people find more of your amazing content?
We're at Fly Me to the Fun on TikTok and Instagram and
YouTube.
Yeah.
Even though there's not much on our YouTube page.
We're in the process of revamping flymetotofun.com. So for the time being, just Instagram and TikTok. Mostly TikTok's that's where we're the biggest and most active currently.
Like, big on TikTok for aviation it's an understatement.
Thanks.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone
recently.
else has more on TikTok than you guys. Do they?
Stevie does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And Kay.
Stevie and Kay are both at 2 million. We're at 171K.
Who is Steve?
there, I
Oh
think.
God, do I not? Who are you talking about, Stevie?
No, that's
Uh,
Bayflight?
Bayflight. She's great. Her
I don't
stuff
know
is
who
awesome.
that is.
What?
Wait, I'm
Yeah,
trying.
you
I'm trying.
She's got
No,
She's got
I
the
don't.
detail.
Plain Girl. She's Plain Girl on...
Plain Girl on TikTok, Bayflight on Instagram.
Okay,
she's
wait.
a blonde CFI who's a computer developer and flies a
Oh,
VTOL.
I do follow her. I just didn't recognize that. Yeah, 2.2 million. Okay, well, whatever. She's not as fun as you
Yeah,
guys.
That's
Although Stevie, if you're
Thanks.
watching this, come on the show and prove us wrong. Fly with K. I mean, okay.
she's up there. She's like 2 million.
I don't even understand.
And then
that.
Owen, Fly with Owen, he's like 400K I think on TikTok. He's pretty big.
Fly
He
with
does cool
Owen?
stuff.
Really? That guy?
Mhm.
He's on TikTok now?
Yeah. He started there, I think, or at least
No.
he's been bigger there the whole time though.
Oh, really?
I do know that.
Okay, I'm
I was
adding
blown
you-
away the other day. He was like Post Malone's pilot, like co-pilot not too long ago, and I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. He's
Yeah, that-
got
that-
Oh, you oversold. He's only 300,000.
Oh, sorry. Well, he's got he and the JR Aviation guys just totally redid an F-33A. It's probably the best looking Bonanza I've ever seen. It's like dark blue on top, like a gray color on bottom. I'm like,
He
Yeah.
sent it to me like 4 times, being like, do you think we should just buy this? And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know who you think we are, but like...
I mean, Bonanzas
jealous.
though, like for real. Like I
Yeah.
didn't realize I was into Bonanzas until I started. Something about the tip tanks and the V-tail. Not at the same time.
I'm
V-tails.
more of a straight tail guy myself, but I'm 90% sure my next plane will be an F-33A.
And that
All right.
those numbers
Ideally
mean
sooner than
something.
later.
Mark your words.
Mark your words, Lanie.
But we can never get rid of the 150 at this point. So
No,
it's got to
you're
be in
stuck
addition
with it.
to, which presents problems. Yeah. It's really hard to find hangars in Atlanta. We've been on 3 wait lists at 3 different airports. There's one that I am number 28 in line as of like a month ago. So I'm hoping that in the next year I'll get a call. That's a lot closer to where we live. But yeah, hangars would be the problem with 2 planes in Atlanta for sure. So
There you go. Well, I hope you can turn this trip. Here's what you got to do. Because I'm a huge success. I'm not. But so what you got to do is do this amazing trip and get some sponsors for it. And then I'm not joking. Dude, the system. You're talking about the system.
Trust me, that's been aggressively in progress. That's the plan.
Okay, like the president of Breitling, literally, like, even if nothing else, he should at least give you a watch that you can like make a TikTok about.
I mean, at least a $40,000 watch for the trip. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They have cheaper
Two.
ones,
There's-
like
we
they have
have
some
two
that are like
both here.
10,000. Yeah, you need 2 watches,
Pretty good.
of course.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Lean.
I need one for each wrist while we're
You
flying.
need 4.
know?
You need one. You need 2. You need between the 2 of you 4 watches, and then you need one on each wrist, 2 GMTs watches, so that you can track 4 time zones on your
It's for
your
safety.
wrists. Yeah, totally.
It's for safety.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They have $10,000 watches. Just ask them for that's a lot easier than the $40,000 watch.
You might
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, just email them. But use that accent I was doing before. Righto, good chap. I don't even know.
I've got to put the accent into the email. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
so funny.
Oh God. Lanie, Drew, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show this week. I cannot thank you enough for hopping on. and really appreciate just all the time you guys spend to share your cool adventures. I feel like I just live vicariously through all your content, like the adventures you take, and I hope you guys keep doing it. I can't wait to see what you do in January. It's going to be epic, and we'll all be rooting for you.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. This has been
It's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Cool. Well, if nothing else, we'll see you next year. Man, you guys got some stories to tell at the beer tent next year.
Hopefully.
Holy moly. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Everyone else in the chat, thanks so much for checking out another great night of aviation, hangar flying, SuperAero. Next week, I think we're going to have Emily at the airport. I'm just going down the list of everyone that I've met at Oshkosh. I got to meet her, and so she's going to come on and talk to us about the airport, obviously, because it's in her name.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone, thank you so much. Lanie, Drew, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
Cool.